What happens when the lie you told to protect your family becomes the very thing that ends up breaking them? I never meant to hurt them. I did it because I loved them. Her words settled in the room with a heavy finality. Dr. Phil paused mid-movement, his hand lifted in quiet shock. The studio audience reacted with a shared gasp. In that single moment, everyone understood that this woman's admission had shifted everything. Stop the tape. Dr. Phil's voice sliced through the stillness with precision. Stop it right now. The cameras continued recording, yet the atmosphere had turned into something no one expected. Production staff traded uncertain looks. The audience sat frozen. And on the familiar Dr. Phil couch sat Karen Miller, a 47-year-old mother of three. Her face pressed into shaking hands as she finally faced the truth of a lie she had held onto for 12 years. But to understand how we reached this moment of complete collapse, we need to go back to the beginning. 3 weeks earlier, the Dr. Phil show received an urgent email from Karen's oldest daughter, Michelle, age 23. The subject line said, "My mother has been lying to us our whole lives, and it's tearing our family apart." The production team, familiar with dramatic stories, noticed something different in Michelle's message: genuine hurt, real uncertainty, and a family splitting apart in real time. The first conversation happened over a video call. Michelle, her voice unsteady, yet firm, described everything. "My mother told us for years that our father left us, that he didn't want a relationship, never sent help, never called, never cared. We grew up thinking we weren't worth loving." Dr. Phil leaned in on the monitor, his usual focus already present. "And what changed? I found letters," Michelle said softly. "Dozens of them in my mother's closet. All from him, all unopened, all marked returned to sender by her." The situation had all the elements Dr. Phil recognized: deep hurt, long-term family damage, and a mother convinced she was protecting her children. Karen Miller agreed to appear on the show after weeks of pressure from her kids. She arrived that Tuesday morning in a simple blue cardigan, holding a worn leather purse. Backstage, she avoided eye contact with the staff. The team noted in their preparation: subject appears highly closed off. Possible major emotional release or complete withdrawal. When Dr. Phil stepped onto the stage that day, the audience greeted him with their usual applause. But his expression was different, more serious, more purpose-driven. He already understood that this episode would not be a standard discussion about family issues. This story was about a mother who made a choice, lived with it, and was now facing the consequences of what that choice had cost. "Karen," Dr. Phil began once she sat down, "your daughters are here because they need answers. They want to know why you kept their father away for over 10 years. Karen's jaw tightened. "I did what I thought was best." Best for whom? The question wasn't meant to accuse. It was precise, aimed at her and at the children. What Karen didn't realize was that Dr. Phil's team had spent 2 weeks investigating. They located the father, read the letters, reviewed financial records, and uncovered a reality far more complex than Karen had been sharing. "Karen, I want to show you something," Dr. Phil said, gesturing toward the large screen behind him. Images appeared: Karen's children as toddlers, then in elementary school, and later as teenagers, soccer games, birthday parties, Christmas mornings, ordinary family moments. Yet in every photo, one person was not present. "These are beautiful memories," Dr. Phil commented quietly. "But someone is missing from all of them, isn't there?" Karen's eyes filled with tears. "He chose not to be there, didn't he?" Dr. Phil's voice changed slightly. "Or did you make that choice for him?" The audience leaned forward. This was the moment they had been waiting for. Confrontation. "I don't know what you mean," Karen said, her voice trembling. Dr. Phil picked up a folder from the table. "Karen, we spoke with your ex-husband, David. What he shared does not match what you've told your children for the past 12 years. Karen's face turned pale. The studio was silent. "He said," Dr. Phil continued, that he sent child support every month, wrote letters, weekly, attended school events, but you had a restraining order keeping him 500 feet away. He hired lawyers, tried for visitation, and was repeatedly denied. Is that true, Karen? Karen's hands shook. You don't understand. Then help me understand, Dr. Phil prompted. For a moment, it looked like Karen might leave the stage. Her eyes searched the exit. Her breathing quickened. But then something inside her shifted, not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, like a small crack giving way. He hurt me, Karen whispered. The audience held their breath. The moment had changed direction, unexpectedly. He heard you, Dr. Phil said gently, his tone immediately softening. Physically? No, not physically. Karen looked up, tears streaming down her face. He hurt me by leaving, by choosing his career over us, by making me feel like I wasn't enough. And I was so angry, Dr. Phil, so angry that I wanted him to feel what I felt. I wanted him to lose what mattered most to him. Her confession hung in the room. The audience was unsure whether to feel sympathy or shock. Subscribe and leave a comment, because the most critical part of this story is still ahead. Dr. Phil set the folder down and walked slowly toward Karen. In a move that surprised even his longtime producers, he sat on the couch beside her instead of across from her. Karen, he said softly, I need you to listen carefully. What you described just now isn't protection. That's revenge. And the people who suffered because of it weren't him. They were your children. Karen sobbed into her hands. I know that now. Do you? Dr. Phil's voice remained calm but firm. Because your daughters are backstage right now, and they just heard what you said. They heard that you kept their father away, not because he was dangerous or abusive, but because you were hurt and angry. Off camera, Dr. Phil did something unexpected. He walked toward the wings, signaling for the daughters to come out immediately, unscripted and unplanned. Michelle, the eldest, along with her younger sisters Emily, 19, and Sarah, 16, stepped onto the stage. Their faces reflected shock, pain, and a desperate need for truth. Michelle's voice broke as she spoke. Mom, I spent my whole childhood believing I wasn't good enough for my father to love. Do you know what that does to a person? Karen reached out, but Michelle stepped back. You don't get to touch me right now. Dr. Phil positioned himself between them, not as a barrier, but as a mediator. Karen, your daughters need you to be completely honest. Why did you really keep David away? Then came the moment that paused everything. Karen looked at her daughters, then at Dr. Phil, then at the envelope he had placed on the table earlier, the envelope with letters from their father that she had never let them see. Her voice was barely audible. I thought if they had him, they wouldn't need me anymore. I thought I would lose them. The studio went silent. Even audience members who had judged her before now saw Karen differently. This wasn't a villain. It was a woman broken by fear, making terrible choices. Dr. Phil picked up the envelope and handed it to Michelle. These are your father's letters. 12 years worth. He never stopped writing. He never stopped trying. Michelle took the envelope with trembling hands. Her sisters gathered close, and as they opened the first letter, dated just weeks after their parents' divorce, the camera captured the moment their understanding of their childhood shifted. Dear Michelle, Emily, and Sarah, the letter began. I don't know if you'll ever read this, but I need you to know that I love you more than anything in this world. Then something unexpected happened. Sarah, the youngest, who had been silent, turned to her mother. You knew he loved us. You read these letters, didn't you? Karen nodded through tears. I read every single one. And you still kept them from us? I thought I was protecting you from what? Sarah's voice cracked. From being loved. From having a father. Dr. Phil gently placed a hand on Sarah's shoulder. Sarah, I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But now, I need you to hear something important. He turned to Karen. Karen, your daughters are going to have a relationship with their father. That is not negotiable. But whether they have a relationship with you depends entirely on what you do now and every moment after. Karen looked at her daughters, fully realizing the cost of her choices. I don't expect you to forgive me, she said, her voice steadier. I don't even know if I can forgive myself. But I need you to know that for 12 years, I've carried this guilt every single day. I told myself it was worth it if it kept you safe with me. But I was wrong. I was so wrong. Michelle, still holding the letters, asked the question that mattered most. Do you realize that you didn't just take our father from us? You took our childhood, our trust, our belief that we were worth loving. Yes, Karen whispered. I understand that now. Dr. Phil stepped closer. Karen, I'm going to give you a chance most people never get. I'm stopping this taping to bring someone out here, and you need to be ready. The audience murmured. Even the producers backstage weren't sure what he planned. Bring him out, Dr. Phil said into his microphone. The studio doors opened. David Miller, a man his daughters hadn't seen in 12 years, walked onto the stage. He was 52, with graying hair and eyes that immediately found his daughters. His face carried years of pain, but also a clear flood of love. Emily gasped. Sarah began to cry. Michelle froze, still holding the letters. David stopped a few feet away, careful not to overwhelm them. Hi, sweetheart, he said to Michelle, voice trembling. You've grown so much. The reunion wasn't dramatic. There was no running embrace, no cinematic moment. Instead, there was silence, careful steps, and finally Michelle moving slowly toward the father she barely remembered. You really wrote to us? She asked, holding up the letters. Every week, David confirmed. For 12 years. I never stopped loving you girls. Not for one day. Share and subscribe. Make sure this story is remembered. Dr. Phil let the moment unfold naturally. He didn't interrupt or try to create emotion. This was genuine grief, real reconciliation, and raw family trauma being faced in real time. Finally, he spoke to the camera, which he rarely does. If you're watching and keeping secrets you think protect your family, hear this. Lies don't protect anyone. They trap people. The truth can hurt, but it's the only path to real healing. He turned back to the family. Karen, you have a choice. You can keep justifying your actions or start rebuilding trust with your daughters. That work begins with honesty, accountability, and putting their needs above your fear. Karen stood and faced her daughters. I'm so sorry. I know that's not enough, but it's all I have right now. I'm so sorry. Dr. Phil looked at David. You've been given a second chance that most fathers never get. Don't waste it. David's eyes stayed on his daughters. I won't. The episode ended without a tidy resolution, because real life rarely does. Dr. Phil arranged intensive family therapy with one of the nation's top trauma specialists. He provided legal support for David to establish custody. Resources were given to the daughters to process their childhood trauma. Karen received a referral for therapy focused on people who have hurt their loved ones. This isn't about punishment, Dr. Phil told her privately. It's about understanding why you acted this way so you never repeat it. 3 months later, Dr. Phil received an email from Michelle. The family was in therapy. David was slowly rebuilding his relationship with his daughters. His connection with Karen remained fragile, but there were small signs of healing. Michelle wrote, You gave us the truth. Even though it hurts, it's better than living a lie. The impact of the episode reached beyond this family. Hundreds of viewers shared their own stories of lies told to protect, of parents kept apart, and childhood shaped by fear and pain. The episode became one of Dr. Phil's most watched, not for spectacle, but for its honest, uncomfortable truth. Months later, Dr. Phil reflected, Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop protecting someone from the truth. Karen thought she was saving her children. In reality, she was taking from them, and deep down, she always knew it. The sealed envelope on the table that day, containing 12 years of unopened letters, now sits in Michelle's apartment. She hasn't read all of them. Some days, it's too painful, but she knows they exist. She knows her father never stopped trying. That knowledge, however late, is changing the story she told herself about who she is and whether she is worthy of love. The lie Karen told to protect her family didn't protect them. It imprisoned them. And it took Dr. Phil breaking protocol, stopping the cameras, and demanding the truth for that prison door to finally open.